Let's talk about Dragon's Dogma 2 on PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X. This is perhaps the biggest pure RPG game in years. I personally like it more than Baldur's Gate 3 because of the combat. Turn-based gameplay and combat was never really my thing. While Dragon's Dogma's action gameplay is what I really enjoy, the gameplay and combat here actually feels somewhat unique. All the animations are done really well. The combat's not too complex. It's simple yet effective. Now early on, you're gonna be sort of smashing a few buttons, but it does get better as you level up. These combat mechanics where you can throw items at your opponents, where you can hold on to enemies, make it that much more fun. The exploration, this huge world is also really great with something to discover around every corner. I personally like the game. It's not perfect, but it's a decent RPG that excels in a lot of areas. I know the game's been getting review bound for a few reasons. Some people aren't happy about the microtransactions and also how you can't make more than a single character. There's also, of course, performance issues, and performance issues are across the board here, really on PC and even on console. I also think an actual online co-op where other players visit your world would have been really nice. Of course, there is no real co-op here. Let's now talk about the console comparison, PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X. I don't have the Series S here because I didn't get a review code from Capcom. I actually chose to go out and buy 2 physical copies of the game, and that's just so I can sell them later and recover some of my money when I'm done with the game. On the Xbox Series X and S, Dragon's Dogma is going to be about 70 gigabytes, while it's about 64 gigabytes on PS5. Note that I'm running the latest update of the game, version 1.2 on both consoles. Loading times are up next. Continuing the game from dashboard takes 31 seconds on Xbox Series X, while PS5 takes 32 seconds. Xbox also has quick resume, while PS5 has activity cards. Activity cards only save about a second and still take 31 seconds, while quick resume gets you back in the game in only 11 seconds. The graphics here are decent. I mean, they're for sure better than Baldur's Gate 3. For open world RPG games, these might be some of the better graphics I've seen. I know there are some people who are complaining about the graphics, but I think they're good enough. The game can look quite pretty at times. I'm really glad there's no graphics mode selection here on console. It's just the one default, and that does target 60 FPS on both Xbox and PlayStation 5. It is an unlocked frame rate. Resolution is 4K dynamic on both consoles. The native is likely half that, as there's some upscaling going on. Now, Xbox Series X seems to be slightly sharper than PS5, but you really need to zoom in 4 times to see that difference. So overall, both consoles look similar. As I said, both consoles target 60 FPS, but get nowhere close to that. Frame rates do average slightly higher than 30 FPS, hovering between 35 and 40 FPS most of the time. In the wilderness, during the combat, the Xbox Series X does perform slightly better, getting about 2 to 3 FPS higher than PS5 in almost all situations. Now, I've seen other YouTubers cover this, and this is sort of the gameplay they show where the Xbox is better, but there are some areas where PS5 actually does have a higher FPS. Have a look at this cutscene where you're going into the city, and PS5 actually locks to 60 FPS, while Xbox was still getting 30. When you're roaming around the city, PS5 also performs better. You can see the side-by-side comparison. PS5 gets around 35 to 36 FPS, while Series X is around 32 FPS. I know PC players are having performance issues mainly in the city, so Xbox is sort of behaving more like a PC here. There are instances now as well where the frame rate does dip below 30 FPS. I saw that on both consoles in the city. I also saw dips in the mid to low 20s during this stage where you battle a dragon. So after all of this, you can see, yeah, there are performance issues, and I really don't see Dragon's Dogma 2 getting 60 FPS anytime soon on the current gen consoles. We'll likely need PS5 Pro or the new Xbox for that. The good news is that for the most part, the frame rate sticks to a small range between 35 and 40 FPS, and there's no huge lag spikes all the time. So it is a playable game on both consoles. There's also no screen tearing or any other pure game-breaking performance bugs. So at the end of the day, yeah, you're not gonna get 60 FPS, but if you're more about the gameplay and kind of enjoying the combat, then you'll probably like this game. So that's what you need to know about Dragon's Dogma 2 on PlayStation 5 versus Xbox Series X. For the rest of the video, I have some more side-by-side gameplay with that FPS counter shown.
The choice of where to go, but how to know the path best traveled?
Let us examine each path carefully before we decide.
Hold here a moment. I shall bid them open the gate.
The Pretender, you mean?
'Tis uncertain. This one commands the loyalty of the pawns.
What? Impossible. You know as well as I do that there can be but one Arisen, and he's...
I'm well aware of how preposterous the idea is, thank you. What's this? We're trapped! A Cyclops! To think we'd encounter one here of all places!
The Cyclops. Pray, be on your guard. Fear not, I shall aid you directly. Continue our onslaught, and the behemoth will soon topple.
Strike fast and true, and our quarry shall fall!